Hello, I am here with my talk show, Strength in Education. I am your host, Dr. Karen Dukes. I will be bringing to you some educational conversations. There are a lot of things going on in the educational world right now. We're still talking about the pandemic. Woo, it's just been a lot going on with the children, and I am very concerned about how it has affected the teachers, the parents, and our students. So listen, I want to start the show today with some statistics. And really listen to this. You have to really be tuned into this. As of May 2022, survey found more than 80% of public schools reported stunted behavior and social emotional development. I know watching the news and in schools, you've been hearing a lot of different things going on with the kids during the pandemic. Now, because of COVID-19, the pandemic, 56% increase in classroom disruptions from students' misconduct, 49% increase in rowdiness outside of the classroom. Data from the Institute of Educational Sciences, they stated this: COVID-19 negatively affected students' development. Chronic teacher and student absenteeism has increased. Greater need for mental health sciences. I'm talking about students and staff. I have a few more statistics for you. Facing barriers to getting students the mental health services needed. That's been really big because of what you've heard about the kids being closed up in the house and having to regroup and readjust. Mental illness has been on the rise. Schools changed their calendars to support students and staff. Now listen, most schools are in person now, and I'm talking 99% face to face. So there's only 1% left basically doing virtual. And I have a few other points. School, breakfast, and meal programs, oh my Lord, they face challenges too. 40% schools that operated that USDA, they didn't get enough food, beverages, supplies. Why? Because of availability, shipment delayed, orders missing items, reduced quantities, or product substitutions. Woo! Well, basically, there is work to be done. Challenges of students, educators, and parents are considerable. Therefore, we are living in educational reform, interventions, and research payoff. So what is all that about? What are we really going to do? How do we really feel? So what I am saying with this show, I'm going to be interviewing more teachers, more parents, and children so we can get their feel about what happened, what's going on, and what changes need to be made. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I have a special guest, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Hello, I am back. I have a very special guest. I am so excited about this young lady. I don't know if she wants me to tell her age, but she's in the 7th grade, 12 years old, and she's going to come and help us with some insight on what happened during the pandemic in her age group. Let's welcome Kamaya. Kamaya, please come. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation. There's been a lot going on. Woo! And I think you told me, pandemic, honey, this pandemic is over. COVID-19 has been like 2 years. And I know, but I feel that we need to still help people understand what happened, what's going on, and how do we move forward. So, again, thank you for coming and just tell us a little bit maybe about you and what are you doing right now?
Um, well, I'm in seventh grade. I play club volleyball. I don't know if I should say the name right now, but yeah, I play volleyball. I like to sing and do like art and stuff like that, like stuff I do in my meantime, other than listen to music.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Just a typical 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. I appreciate that. So listen, woo, as I said, it's very important that we have this pandemic or COVID-19 conversation because we still need to help people move forward.
Right.
So it was a lot. If you go back about 2 years when the schools shut down, we had to stay at home and we had to learn from home. What did you think about it initially? I mean, did you think it was a joke? Did you think you were just going home for 1 week or 2 weeks? What happened?
Right. I really thought like I was happy. I was like, yay, a little short vacation. I thought it was just like I don't know, just a vacation, just a reason for me to not be in school.
Yes. So moving forward, I guess you had your computer at home,
Yeah.
and as the news went on and on, you actually did have to work from home. The
Yeah.
rest of that school year, then we went into the next school year. You were still at home.
Exactly. So it was like at first it was a vacation and then it was just never ending. It was just continuous days after days of virtual school.
Virtual school. So, how did you cope with the lesson, the curriculums, working with groups, seeing your teachers just virtual or through the computer?
Honestly, it was a lot. It was something to get used to because working over the computer is not as convenient. So it wasn't a big adjustment. It was it was an experience, is what I'll say.
I love that. I love that. And earlier, before you came out, I discussed some data because we were talking about mental illness. We're talking about
Yeah,
the delivery of the lunch food was off. And now they're looking now at test scores and how the kids really did academically.
yeah.
Did you feel that you lost some education or you gained more?
I definitely feel like um, a lot of education was lost. I feel like when I was virtual, me personally, I wasn't really learning that much. Like I was learning, but I wasn't really containing the information. Half of the time, I wanted to be asleep anyways. I was still in bed on the
Oh my
computer.
Lord. Cover your ears, parents. And that's not the first time you heard that because I was a virtual teacher and I had to look twice a few times to see was that little boy or that little girl in bed made a tent out of the covers.
Right.
What? I couldn't believe it. And I
I
kept looking
definitely.
like I know that little boy is not looking at me like under his sheets, some hanging around on their bunk beds. It was a lot. But I'm concerned about your education, your levels, your grades, and then you had to take tests to move on to the next grade.
Yeah, no, the education was not the same. And then when it got to the point where some kids were back in school and some kids were virtual, I was one of those that was virtual the whole time. So it was even worse when people went back into school because I feel like the teachers were prioritizing the kids that were in front of their face and they were kind of just leaving us hanging.
Wow. I hate to hear that, but guess what? You're not by yourself. I did hear that from some other children and parents. And I felt really bad about that because as an educator, we're trying to teach all the children. We're not trying to leave anybody behind. But I'm so sorry you felt that way.
Right.
So you're talking the fifth grade, we started the pandemic, and then you went on into the sixth grade
At the
just
end of
trying.
fourth grade, actually. It was in the middle
Wow.
of the
Fourth,
end of
that's
school.
right. Go back. I need to go back. I need to count back. So, yes, you're fourth grade and then fifth grade and then sixth grade. Oh, my Lord. And so, sixth grade, you went back into the building.
I went back into the building. I'm in the building now.
Woo! Let's talk about the mask. Were you in a school that you had to wear your mask? Because the world said, wear your mask, get vaccinated. So, woo! What happened with us wearing our mask or with you wearing your mask now in the building in school all day?
That was crazy. I was so irritated because I did not want to have like this weird medical mask on my face while I'm at school. Like that was never normal for me. I never got used to that.
Oh,
It was a big adjustment. It was weird. Like school was weird. Social distancing, hand sanitizer every corner, like everything was just different. And then I was going into middle school in sixth grade, so it was just like, whoa, okay.
wow. So, when you went into your building, were there a lot of children wearing their masks? Or you had to
Um,
wear your mask? In the beginning, yes.
in the beginning, yes, but I don't know how long that lasted with all kids wearing their masks. Maybe like 2 weeks, because
Right. It was just difficult.
yeah.
And did you get information in your building that it wasn't mandatory? Kids could come in and not wear their mask.
I'm trying to think because I went to a few schools. I think
Yeah,
eventually it was something that was thought about, something that was spoken on, but I think it took a while for my school to get used to that. I think all the teachers were still wearing
that's right.
masks,
That's right. They had
but
to.
I think that some of the kids were not wearing masks.
Yes.
I was some kids. I was.
So you know the importance of why teachers want to keep their mask on
Yeah.
because everybody really is trying to say to stay safe
Yeah.
and healthy. So it was nothing personal.
Yeah.
No. So wow. So now the mask. And then so my other concern with the children at the time, if they had extracurricular activities, I was concerned
No.
about if children that needed to break out of those bedrooms and they needed to dance and sing and they wanted to be with their friends, the touching, the feeling, the go to the movies, go skating. So how did that affect you?
So the first few months of when it all started, when we were still virtual, everything was shut down. So nobody was able to do anything. We were like in our rooms and closed up, especially if you were sick. So I feel like that cut off a lot of my social life. I would say I didn't really have too many people that I would call my friend because I didn't really go nowhere.
That's
I didn't
right.
see nobody. I didn't go nowhere. I was just really by myself.
And that's the part that scared me. That's the part that I felt sorry for children, for families. I did see on the news and I did hear from just people from social media that parents were slowly trying to get their kids back out, get them acclimated. But this is the funny part
And
before I go
also,
there.
I think I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just thought about it. I think that's the main reason how like when we went back to school. I know that when I went back to school in sixth grade, a lot of people around me had very bad social anxiety because they have not been out in the world in like I don't know however long it was 2.5 years,
Yeah.
1.5 years.
At that time, it was about a year and a half.
Yeah, they haven't been out in the world, so it was a lot of anxiety going back into the building around all these kids again. I know that's how some of my friends felt.
That's how they felt?
Yeah.
So, how did they take that? How did they deal with it? Let's say that. How do you deal with that?
I don't,
Especially at your age.
to me, because I had it a little bit, me, I didn't really deal with that. It was just something that I had to just cope with. It was like something I was just gonna have to get used to,
Yes.
especially because I had a mask on, so it made me feel a little bit better. But
What did that mask do?
I don't know. I feel
Mask
like
some of the sadness or mask some of the happiness? What was
yeah,
that mask
just
about?
mask your face up a little bit, like can't really see my whole face, cause like I haven't seen nobody, nobody see me in a while. So going back to school with a mask on, you still don't really see me that much.
Wow. So that's what I was concerned about. And I remember on social media and also on television, I love how parents and I'm looking for those parents. I love how parents created some unique activities for their children at home.
Right. I remember my dad used to let us do like little science experiments in the kitchen, and we would take like a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag, and fill it up with water, and like close it up and like put pencils in it, and like see how many pencils we could put in the bag without it busting open. I
Good.
remember
Well,
that.
that was a great daddy. I love parents. I love dads. I love parents that became so creative. I talked in my last segment about parents are the first teachers. So the parents did have to become very creative. They had to look at those lessons, those lesson plans. They had to teach the children. They had to do those science experiments, but they had to be very creative. One thing that's in my mind right now, I saw something on Facebook where parents were taking the lids to the garbage cans, and the kids used those outside to play on. They used it like cars, like like
Oh.
like like a sled, like if you were on snow. See, southern children may not know about this, but the north children know about going sledding, tobogganing, and playing in the snow. And I just loved how parents came out with creative ideas that get those kids out of the houses and
Yeah.
get outside in nature. Another thing came to my mind was I saw something on social media where they took boxes and they made a movie theater at their homes, and the kids sat in
Oh.
boxes, individual boxes with their snacks. That's how they watch television, but they made it like a drive-in.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh my Lord," because people are like, "Oh, we can't go out to the movies." And
Right.
so, how do we overcome that? So, there's so many things, and I'm going to be bringing a lot of those stories on this show so we can see how creative parents were.
Right.
And I know at this time you don't believe we're living in the pandemic. You don't really believe about what's going on, and you
No.
stop wearing your mask, and you just feel life goes on. We have to move on.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think it's just something that happened. It'll be in the history books one day. I don't think that people should still be afraid or just still stuck on it. I think you kind of have to just live life.
Be prayerful, be healthy, be mindful, and just move on. Yes, and thank you for saying that because we've had to just move on. So, but I know we have this flu season, and there are
Yeah.
things that are going on, and we still just need to just be mindful of that and just stay safe. So now. Moving forward, you're back in school full time, no mask. And so, what is your activity that's keeping you going? Did you mention?
I do play volleyball.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna mention this, but I play for Tsunami Volleyball. It's a club. I played out in Forest Park, I think. I have transitioned to another team.
That's great. It's okay.
It's in College Park.
Okay.
It's called the Dream Chasers. So I guess that's my thing that I do. I play volleyball to just keep me motivated, keep me going.
Good, good. Now, do you think a lot of your friends are involved in extracurricular activities to help them, what, emotionally, mentally, socially?
Oh yeah, I think especially now that we're in school and we're in middle school now, it's like school sports that you can do too.
Yes.
So a lot of my friends have been like trying out for the basketball team, softball, tennis, stuff like that, just to keep them,
Going.
yeah, keep
Yes,
them
and I
moving.
appreciate that. I really appreciate you for sharing that. And as we move on in this show, I'm going to be bringing on a lot of educators so they can show and talk about their perspective of what happened and how are they moving forward. Because I do work with educators. I do know some educators that are still very skeptical.
Right. My math teacher from my old school, she refused to take her mask off. Even at the end of the school year when everybody else, all the teachers had their masks at least down, she refused to take it off. I think I talked to my friend and she told me she finally took her mask off this year.
Really, but see, we never know health reasons and personal reasons with
Yeah.
people, so I never worry about it. I will go to a store, I will get halfway to the door, and I'll stop and go back and get my mask because
Right.
I know I'm entering a building, I'm entering an atmosphere, and I just know I need to stay mindful and careful. So it doesn't bother me with people with and without their masks because I think it's just personal
Yeah.
and it's okay. So I'm looking for educators. I'm going to still be talking about this because we're trying to move on, but we do have a lot of things that we need to talk about. And I'm looking for parents that want to share some educational tips that they learned and they did to help. And then children. I love children. I love you kids talking about what has been your motivation to keep going and to move on and to keep learning and to still learn all you can learn because that's the most important part. And so another
Yes.
part of this show, I'm going to start some segments on children that are doing amazing things, doing some really unique, talented things that they want to talk about, that they want to share. So I do look forward in having you come back to talk more about your skill, your volleyball
Oh man, I
skills.
should have brought my bag out. It's in the car.
Yes,
I
that's
was bringing my
okay.
volleyball stuff.
That's okay. That's okay. Um, and thank you for saying that because I think part of this I would like to see kids in their uniforms, and then maybe
I
we'll get a chance
understand.
to see you in action. So we are going
Right.
to be incorporating all of that just to make this really helpful for people that are still skeptical about getting out, going places. I'll just be bringing more and more information into their homes this way through our talk show. And what's the name of it again? Strength in Education. And I feel that it's very important that we have this courageous, this some educational conversation just to help us move on.
Yes. I would like to shed some light on something
Yes, what is it?
because I think that is something that kids don't really want to say too much about.
Okay.
Um, I think this past pandemic has, on the mental health side of it, really damaged most kids.
Wow.
I think like it's really good parts of it, but then it's like really bad parts of it. Like
Mm.
I think that it has like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like I
Well,
think the best way to say it is like depression. Like I really think that it has caused people my age now to just not want to be as active, not want to do anything, kind of be like in a sad type of state. I think.
well, that's part of that mental health
Mm,
conversation that I had a few weeks ago. I'm having it almost every day because people are really big on what's going on with the mental health with our children,
and to
and
me, that
parents are
affects
trying to figure out what's wrong.
exactly. I think that affects like our physical health. I think that's been affecting our test scores these past few years.
Well, may I ask this? Yes, I know you're 12 years old and you're in the seventh grade, but what can we do about it as adults? What do you think children want adults to do? What can we do?
Honestly, I know like for me, I just wanted someone who was like open. Like I just wanted to talk to somebody. Doesn't matter if that's my mom, my grandma, my grandfather. I just wanted somebody to listen to what I had to say.
Okay, great. And so let me tell you, I think this show is going to really help kids your age because that's what I want you kids to do. I want to just talk. Yes, it's going to be uploaded, it's going to be a channel on YouTube, but you don't know how you can really inspire or how you can really help other children.
Right.
And that's what I love about this. So I'm going to have to hire you to really help me with this content, to help me with coming out with more ideas, more topics, more subjects. Because guess what? Strength in education, that's what we want to be about.
Right.
We want your children to talk and we want to do whatever we can to help you. You didn't know this, but we're inside for this segment. But 2 weeks ago, we filmed outside because my dream is to be outside and talk to children out and about, grab children where they are because you said it or I said it earlier. Kids may not want to be in school. They may have dropped out of school. They may not want to come into a place or a business. So to have a meeting place outside may help them, because I just want to get to the bottom line and save kids. And I know people say, hey, reach one. That's great, because that's another one of my mottos. Each one, reach one, teach one. But I think with you, we can come together to really help the society in strengthening the needs that we need to strengthen in education.
Right.
Okay? So thank you so much, because you're so outspoken, and I appreciate you for being outspoken. And again, we're going to talk about how. And guess what else? You're welcome to invite some friends to this show, because I want to interview children of all ages.
And
So maybe that'll help us.
I'll spread the word.
Yes, and I want you to spread the word, and I appreciate that. So, you have any other questions or comments for today? Okay, well, I think this was a
got
great.
it all out.
There you go. I wanted you to get it all out. And as I said, I'm going to have you back, because we need you to help us a little bit more with this conversation. And again, the topic or the name of this show will be Strength in Education. So we're going to be coming at different angles. And I appreciate your time today. And again, thank you, Kamaya, for coming and helping us. And as I'm telling everyone, stay tuned in. We're going to be able to give you guys some information on how to reach us. So back to why you are here today and why am I so excited. Let me tell you about my special guest. And I'm trying not to use her name, but I have to use her name. I'm trying not to say mama, but I'm going to have to say mama. Today, I am interviewing someone very, very special to me, to my family, to a lot of people in the world. Yes, I am interviewing my own mother. I would be interviewing my own mother, Mrs.Lillie McGowan. Some people know her as Lily Bell. Some people know her as sister. I am so excited today, because we're going to talk about her, because people have been asking me, what about your mom? Your mom has done so much in the world. Your mom, oh, you need to write a book about your mother. So I thought this would be a really nice gift for the family, for the friends all over the world. And so we're going to get ready. We're going to start talking about Mama's life, her childhood, and then some of you know that she was retired as an international missionary. So I want her to talk about these things. So as I said, sit back, get ready. We have a lot to talk about. Okay, so listen, Mrs. Lillie McGowan, let's talk about you. I am so excited about this. So what I want the public, what I want the world to know, my mother was born in Fairfield, Alabama, December 16th, 1930. So listen, she was born in a household with, at the time, she had two big brothers. And then, ta-da, her parents are so proud that they had this little girl. But after that, she did have two other brothers. So yes, she's from a family of 5. And she's the only girl. She was the only sister. And growing up, listening to the stories about the things that she had to go through. Can you imagine being the only girl in the house with 4 boys? The fighting, the fussing. She had a great time growing up, but she has a lot to talk about. So, Mom, let's start. Let's talk about you as this little girl in Fairfield, Alabama. Born on what? 61st Street or in that vicinity. So, Mom, let's talk about that. How did it feel for you being in the house with 4 brothers? Tell us about that.
Felt good because my daddy wanted me to be over everything.
And what does that mean?
And I did everything. I came before everybody. We had a singing group. And I would sing and open my mouth. The boys getting mad, say I had them out of tune. And I just couldn't do nothing right for them.
Wow. That was them, meaning the brothers. I can imagine. Two brothers older, two under. So tell me about that singing. So did you guys become like a Jackson 5 group? Did you
Yeah,
get,
we sang in church, we sang it all in the neighborhood. The people just get on that porch and listen to us and everything.
wow.
One of the boys was playing. I think it must have been one of the young boys, I think.
Okay. And so
Okay.
I love that how your father, now wait a minute. Did your father inspire all of this singing or your mother?
Both.
Both. Okay, good.
And
Good.
both of them sang. And then they sang in a group of people that did nothing but notes. That's something we don't do now too much.
That's
But
right.
they were note singers.
I've heard about that from some
Yeah.
families in Mississippi. The music teacher, forget the words, they had to sing those notes.
Notes.
Get those notes first.
Well, that's what my mother and father sang. And my dad was a deacon in the church. My dad was a mason,
Yes.
grand mason.
Yes.
And he was a union man, too. My dad did everything. My dad finished the high school that all of us graduated from.
Wow.
He went to night school.
Well, that
He
was
was
amazing.
very smart, man. And he taught us everything, our name, our phone number, our address, our date of birth, and everything before we went to school.
Woo! Stop right there because, honey, the strength in education, that's what I talk about right now. Parents, teach your children the important things before entering the school because some parents just feel, woo, you're going to get it all in the school. Your teachers will teach you everything. But thank you for saying that. Your father, because you often talk too about your handwriting. You and your four brothers, your handwriting, your penmanship was so beautiful. So where did that come from?
He taught us how to write and everything. My dad did everything. Everybody knew my dad. He was a good man. He went around. If you needed anything, he got it for you.
So wait a minute. When you said that, you made me think about this because we also heard a lot of stories about you were such a fighter. You grew up a tomboy, but you said people would bother you because of your hair.
Yes,
Talk
I
about
was
your
born
hair.
with gray hair.
Yes.
Gray curly hair, too. I was fighting every day. They would call me young, old lady,
Right.
everything.
And so I understood as a little girl when you shared this story. I'm like, why would they call my mom an old lady? And I'm like, oh, the gray hair. And so when I talk to people about, like when I see younger people today with gray hair, when I'm saying younger, meaning, 20, 30, 40s. And I'm like, wow. So I said, you remind me of my mama because I was not there when you were this little girl coming up with this gray hair. But when I see people today, I said, oh, that's my mama. That's how my mama looked. And I'm not trying to hide the gray hair, everybody. But yeah, so she's still so gray, and it's so, so pretty. But then what did we learn about this in life? Wisdom. You were born with that gray hair. It meant something. Yes. And there was nothing you could do about it.
My daddy said his gray hair started at 13 or 14 years of age. And he just woke up and he had white hair.
Wow, I love it.
Nice looking man. Everybody crazy about it.
Yes.
He was really nice looking and had a nice head of hair.
Wow. So I always love the story about the gray hair. And now let's talk about, because you were mama to your three children and then you just were, Miss McGowan, Miss Lillie to a lot of people. But then I started hearing about people were calling you sister. I mean, there are people like even like 20 years ago, they said they never knew your name. They never knew your name because they said they grew up just calling you sister, sister. So where did that come from?
Because my daddy started calling me sister, and the boys started calling me sister, and they started at school.
So that went on through the neighborhood and through school. And then what about the people we know today? Look at you. 2022. People still say, how's your mama? How's sister? And so I love that nickname. And when I hear siblings today that refer to their sister as sister, I'm like, that's my mama. That was my mama's life. That was my mama's story. I really love that story. So listen. So let's move up a little bit. So then that was all your Fairfield, Alabama. And guys, listen, there's a lot more, but I'm going to move us along the way a little bit. So then my mom left Fairfield, Alabama, and then she relocated to Detroit, Michigan. And that's home to a lot of people. And that's home for me because guess what? My mother made it to Detroit, Michigan. And then she married my father. And guess what? He was from Alabama. And then they made their union became they became married. And then they had 3 children. So when I talk about I'm her favorite daughter, actually I'm the only daughter. So my parents, my mother had me. They're in Detroit, Michigan. I've been with my mother now for a little over 60 years. She says I don't like to tell my age, but I do love talking about my age, my number, because I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. But it's been over 60 years now we've been hanging out, Miss Lady. And so Mama had me in Detroit, Michigan. And then as I was growing up in Detroit, I knew this lady as a Girl Scout leader, a Sunday school teacher, a missionary worker leader, a singer in the church choir. How did she do all that? Mother, she was a wife. She was the best neighbor to the kids on the block. But I remember so many great stories about how she just was feeding everybody that she could and how she cared for so many people in the neighborhood, the community, the church, and then me, this little tag along. My mother was raised in church singing, and as you heard, she started that at the house, in the living room, dining room, singing with her parents, singing with her brothers. Then she became such a great singer. Now she's in Detroit, Michigan, and she was singing some more and part of choirs, part of traveling choirs. So I want you to talk about how you took that singing from your childhood on over into your young adulthood.
Oh, yes. I met everybody that could sing.
Yes.
Especially when I went to Chicago, Illinois. I went to all the churches just about it, and everybody had big singers there and everything. And that's why I met Inez McConico and the Caravan Singers and
Yes.
James Cleveland. Well, I didn't stop meeting him because he came to my house every day.
Woo.
He was hungry. He wanted to eat. And he would tell me how he got up in the morning and
right.
singing about this and that.
Yes.
And reading the hymnal book and adding to it, subtracting to it.
Mm-hmm.
He was really good. I really liked him.
Yes, yes. I often loved how you talked about the famous singers. You didn't become, you just talk about that as it was like no big deal. No big deal. You knew about Aretha Franklin and you knew about her daddy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's just, and you know what they say about Detroit, Motor City, Motown. And so Mama was coming up in that area. So listen, so then having me as a little girl and following this lady, I guess it was embedded in me to become like a little junior missionary because following this lady going everywhere. And then Mama, I guess she sort of made me a babysitter. So now I started babysitting and I started running with Mama and going to the nursing homes, going to the hospitals. What about that? After church on Sundays, most people just went home and had nothing to do. You got some of you don't know about this. So we started our dinner. We cooked dinner on Saturdays because after church on Sundays, we had to go visit the sick, visit the shut-in, deliver food. We had to go back to church for an evening activity. So when people talk to me about being a teacher, and now my thing is the teacher in me, because I often talk about that, I say it comes from my mama, came from my mama, the giving spirit, the loving lady, being so compassionate, being so transparent, just helping everybody, anybody. It was just nothing to this lady. So then what happened, Mom? It spilled over to me. And so, oh my Lord, I owe you so much. I thank you so much. When people talk about my spirit, my energy, I think about you. I'm like, my mama. And then the funny part is when mama tells me to sit down and stop going and stop doing so much, I'm like, Ma, where did I get it from? I got it from her. Yes, I'm talking to a Girl Scout leader. I'm talking to the missionary lady. But Ma, what can you tell us about that mission, that missionary in you? How did that come about? How did that inspire you? Where did you get that from, being so giving and so caring and so kind?
From my dad and mama. Every time you look around, they was giving us stuff to take to people.
Okay.
People was sick, down and didn't have anything. Here we go. All of us. They went one place, I went to another place, and my mama would cook. My mother made rolls every Saturday, enough to last all the week.
Oh, wow.
And everybody could smell them. And here it come. And we would just take the rolls, take the pies, everything to people.
To people, the neighbors, people at the church, people in the community.
Yeah.
So, and so when I think about that, I'm like, that is so mama. That's so awesome. Even I remember as a little girl, and a lot of my friends would talk about this. They would come to our house. Mama would have nuts, snacks out. And so naturally, people would love that. But candy, oh, let's not forget the hard candy. But I'm like, Ma, why did we start doing this? What is it? Her mother. I said, Mama said, my mama kept hard candy on the table, so she does that. So you know that.
And
come
fruit.
to my house, the fruit, and that's what I do too. I like to have snacks or the fruit and nuts and candy out. So if you come visit, you can have something to snack on. I got it from this lady right here. Yes, Mama. Thank you so much. So we moving up. So you did all this missionary work in the church, and now in Detroit, Michigan, I recall we were affiliated with 2 churches. Mount Pleasant, where you married my father and formulated a good young relationship with the Stewarts family there in Detroit, Michigan. That was your first family church. You have anything that you want to say about the Stewarts or Mount Pleasant Baptist Church? Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes, because we were Pleasant Grove Baptist Church. Reverend D.B. Edwards.
Okay, that was on the Alabama side. Okay.
Alabama.
Okay.
And then when we came my brothers got in Detroit, they came and got me. And that's where we started working again in church and doing this and teaching Sunday school and all of that and going around mission people, sick people. But people don't do that too much now. We used to go in and start cleaning up.
Other people's houses.
Cooking. Yeah.
Wow. To help them.
Helping them.
Yes.
That's what we did, because that's what my mom and daddy did all the time.
So you did
And we
that.
did the same thing.
Okay, so listen. So how did you make it to Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church? That was through your brothers, or your Alabama church referred you to that church?
No, I just heard them singing and going on, and I went there, and I met some people. They went to another church,
Okay.
but I met them, and I started coming regular because I
Good.
liked the choir.
Okay. The singing was in you.
And we
Yes.
were singing, so
Yes. So then you made it to Mount Pleasant, Reverend C.O. Stewart, and then he married you.
oh yeah.
And then I don't know what happened exactly, but then you were there many years, and then maybe with us moving around, we made it over to the east side to Pleasant Grove Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. Okay. So
Yeah, Reverend Harris.
Reverend Harrison, okay, and I remember that, and then we inherited the Reverend Odell Jones, okay. So then again, young couple with 3 children, and then Mama, she joined the choir, and so what did you do at the church?
Everything.
See, and then she wants me to sit down and do nothing.
Went at
You hear?
the mission. We had mission. Young women together.
Yes.
And then we went once a month to the older members. And we just had a good time. That's all we did.
And you stayed busy, didn't you? You had to stay busy, didn't you?
Stayed busy.
Yes.
Going to people and helping the people. Taking people food and everything. I enjoyed that. I still enjoy it.
Yes, I know that's your mission. That you are so awesome, and I just say, wow, my mother. You talking about busy, and so when people look at me and say, when do you sit down? When do you rest? And I'm like, listen, even if I just want to do nothing, Mom is telling me, you need to do this. You need to go there. You need to do that. So I love her. I thank her for instilling so many great values in me. So listen, everyone. So now you heard her talk about all this missionary work. And so Mama was able to go and do work outside of Alabama in Detroit, Michigan. We need to talk about, how did you make it to Haiti? How did you make it to Jerusalem and Bethlehem? How did you make it all over the world like that?
Well, I was in this church and I really liked this church. This minister, I tell you, he was really a missionary man.
Okay.
And I got in the mission there as usual, young people.
Yes.
With the older people too.
Yes.
We just had a good time. And then we started going to Haiti for a week, 2 weeks. Then the other place, what is it? It was across the water too. And I had already talked to several ministers where we helped some young people. They said we're going to never make it to anything. We talked to them and got them in college and everything.
Wow.
Sending them money and doing and helping them. And we just had a good time. We just had a good time giving ourselves to them and doing what we need to do to help people.
That's right.
To clothing, shoes, everything. We were always giving, and I really liked that, really.
Well, I think it was just in your blood. It was in your blood. It was in your DNA. And so I don't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. And I'm listening to things that you're saying because people have written songs about, some of the biblical terms, some of the inspirational messages that we get today from the Bible. People have written songs about that. But what's so beautiful is you live that life. And that's the life that I love. And I just really appreciate everything that you have instilled in me. But Mom, I also want to talk about because I know you had gone to Bethlehem in the 70s. Now I'm in high school now, getting ready to come out of high school. My mother's still traveling the world. And as you heard, with other churches, other ministers, other pastors. But that's what I really loved about that. But then I think moving up, because you heard her say Haiti, Jamaica. Mama has been so many places. And we're going to show you some paraphernalia and some items that I gather that speaks volume, that speaks about her life and the things that she's done and the places that she's traveled. But I want to share with everyone in the, 2000, in the 2000, 5 maybe, Mama was chosen as an international missionary. Well, let's say she applied. She applied to be an international missionary. And at the time, and there's a picture about that, and we'll show you all that later. She heard about this international work to be a part of, what was it, Mom? The International Missionary Board. She applied. At the time, my 2 brothers heard about it. They didn't care because they were thinking, she's 70 years old. And I'm sorry, it was not 2005. It was way before that. But they were thinking, Mama's not going. They just let Mama talk about applying for their little international work. But just to our surprise, Mama was chosen. She was the oldest woman in the group, and she may have been the only black at the time, but we were so proud. And people often ask me within that year, you letting your mama go? You gonna let your mama go? You gonna let your mama go? And I'm like, what can I say? When I first met my mom, when I met this lady, she was a missionary. What can I say? I could not stop her from going. So just so you know, Mama went through all the training. My husband and I went with her to Virginia to be a part of her ceremony, the graduation. And guess what? Mama was chosen to go, or placed to go to Lusaka, Zambia. Woo! She had a 3-year assignment in Lusaka, Zambia, South Africa. That was so amazing. So amazing. Please share with us. Talk about that experience in Lusaka, Zambia.
Yes, Dr. At Green Forest.
Yes.
He was a missionary man, and he helped me a lot to get going with this.
Okay. That's
I
what
really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Yes.
And when I got there, I would write them back and let them know what I'm doing and everything. Because he bought me a typewriter.
The computer, yes, the computer. Green Forest Missionary Baptist Church, and we're talking about the Green Forest here in Decatur, Georgia, where they got Mama they bought her the computer bag, and they helped with the newspaper article, the interviews. They got Mama set up to travel, but to still be in communication. That's what you're talking about. Yes, they did. That was awesome, Mom. That was awesome.
I really enjoyed it, Reverend Dr.
Michaela.
Michaela.
Yes.
He really got me going, I'm telling you.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. And after getting over there, I got in love with this man. I think he was a financial secretary over there.
Yes. At another church then, right? Trinity Baptist Church, right?
And Lord, I got with him, and they needed so much and going on. And I went and I started buying stuff for the kids.
Yes.
Doing for the kids, and I decided I'd get the kids myself and do for them. And I got them, and I got this place where I could have plenty of time with the children.
Right, lessons and conversations. Okay, so Mama, yes, give us a lot more information about Lusaka, Zambia. I hadn't gone, so what else was going on over there?
Well, every Sunday, I was missing my football game. And every Sunday we go up to the place where the soldiers were.
Okay.
And we could see it on television. And I was thankful for that.
I know you were.
I really enjoyed that. Every Sunday evening we went up to the, I forget, I think it was Marines. We went up to their headquarters, and that's where we stayed at least till 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. Looking at the games, I enjoyed it. And then when we come back, every time you look around, this minister was always needing something. I need this and I need that. And so I just started giving, just giving,
Yes.
just giving. And I think you done start giving too.
Uh-oh. Yes, Mama has connected me. So what else was going on there in Lusaka, Zambia? Tell us the assignment. Weren't you working with children?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about those children.
I was working with children in the church. You know I got in the church then.
Yes.
Teaching Sunday school, teaching, period.
Yes.
And I just enjoyed it, so I'm telling you. I would go back tomorrow if I could.
You guys hear that? And she turned a little over 90 yesterday. You hear that? She'll go back tomorrow. And I know she would. And I am making arrangements, just so you know, guys. I am making arrangements. So, Mom, but while you were there in Lusaka, Zambia, you did something with the United Kingdom.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
what was that about?
Well, we was trying to get the other people together. And not to be like me, but to be more thankful and thoughtful of other folks. And
Yes.
get them together so we can start having more stuff to give, you know?
Yes.
Money, the time, and just do what we could for other people.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I like.
Okay. So, wow. So you heard that. She was there in Lusaka, Zambia as a volunteer, under the International Missionary Program. She went to service children. She was teaching, I guess, like the homeschool children there, but that just wasn't enough for Mama. So then she goes on to the United Kingdom and does more work. But we loved those years, Mom, didn't we? We loved that experience. Mama did, as she said, she sent some writings back home. She sent money back home. I have some Zambia. Is it Zambia? I have some Zambia money. But the pictures, the experience, we have a photo here. May I show you? And this was so ironic. I don't know who this is. Mama gained friends everywhere. But we had to capture this experience.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to frame it. One of your friends there, I thought that was something else. And so, but look at Mama's attire. Mama came back home. That's the other thing before we change subjects. She came back home with so many African outfits, suits, dresses, pants, hats, scarves. And so we still have all of those outfits and we love those and we thank that experience every chance we get that Mama had that. And it was just awesome, awesome, awesome. So she comes back to Georgia because she left Georgia to have that experience. And then back here, working with many other churches, so we're moving up a little bit more, then I decided to start a homeschool program and working with children from ages 3 and up. And at the time, Mama was still busy in the church, still busy in the community. So you know what's next? She started feeding the homeless and helpless. So she started a shelter program. So she was feeding them every Thursday. And so I said, Mama, oh my Lord. But being that I was at home and I was working with children, she incorporated Duke's Way Academy. Listen at this, you remember? Mm-hmm. She incorporated Duke's Way Academy to go along with her on Thursdays to make soup, to engage and entertain all of the special guests that came, and you were able to use a church. Yeah. Tell me about that, because I thought you said at one time they didn't want you to bring the people off the street into
Mount Zion. That's where I went.
Yes.
And the minister, can't think his name now, but he was a friend of my daddy, and I didn't even know that.
Okay.
And I just loved it because they had everything in that basement that we needed, and people would come there and eat.
Yes.
Them did everything they could do, I guess, out in the street. But they sure came there to eat every Thursday.
That's right. That's right. And you heard Mama said this was a church that had a lot of things. So what she's saying, they had a couple of closed closets. They had a lot of furniture. They had a nice commercial kitchen. They had enough seating. And I think Mama said she had talked to some other programs or churches and they wanted to just give them the food out the window, out the door. Mama said, no, no. No, no. So this church allowed the people to come in, sit and be entertained and have interaction. So now bringing in my little children, and when I tell you, Duke's Way Academy had children 3 years old, maybe up to 12. I got those kids together. They actually helped serve.
Right.
They set the table. 3-year-olds. Mama taught me more in the kitchen how to make this soup and how to get the food together and how to serve the people. But Mama, let me tell you, and I'm sure we've talked about this. One awesome experience that I remember is one of the gentlemen got a chance to play the piano while he was there on Thursdays. And I thought that was so great because everybody has talent, everybody has skills, everyone has something special about them. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That the men, and I don't know if any women came in. It seemed like I remember more men than anything.
Yeah, a lot of men came, and I had a few women working with me in the kitchen.
Yes, yes. And we had a piano player on Thursdays, and they were able to eat and then go to the clothes closet and get some clothes. Mom, I love that experience. And it was so funny and cute that the little kids just, I'm tagging along with you, and the kids were tagging along with me. But guess what? It was a learning experience, and it was awesome.
Oh,
and it was beautiful. We had to do that. So, wow. So, yes. So now, as we moved on and through all of those years, yes, Mama was still doing a lot in the community as the missionary as she is, but just being affiliated with so many other programs. We joined NAACP together. Mama woke up one day and said, wait a minute, where's the NAACP? I'm supposed to be a part of that. And although she was in one county, she joined DeKalb County NAACP so we can do work. We were able to take trips. Remember going to Washington, D.C. with them? Woo, we've been busy. You remember that trip? We were able to go to the Capitol to have some sharing time and some historical time and some historical moments. And woo, that was just as beautiful, just as powerful. And so what else? So we did NAACP, but I have some other things there that I'll be showing our audience that will remind us of things that you've done, but you just couldn't stop, could you? Why you couldn't stop, girl? You just never. You just love to sing, love to give, and love to be a part of any and everything that you could. That's what I love about you. That's what I appreciate about you. And that's just been just as beautiful, beautiful. So, woo, girl, you've done so much in the United States, outside of the United States. But we need to go back and talk about the Birmingham street bombing. There was a church, Reverend John Cross, who you had befriended. I want to talk about that experience with you in Birmingham, Alabama.
We met at Dr. Cross Church monthly. Everybody that connected with the civil rights.
Yes.
And I was right there with Daddy and Mama. And we just used to have a good time. But this man, finally they got him and put him in jail. That bombed that church. And Barbara Cross was with the girls beside her. She would sit down because her mama told her, don't do no walking while she in church.
That's right. That's right.
And the other little girls went to the bathroom. And that's when they bombed the church.
Yes, and a lot of people are going to remember this in Black History because that's one of the famous Black History stories. We know we met, well, personally, Mama met her father, but I know, and I have a different relationship as a teacher with the Mrs. Barbara Cross, and that was a daughter to
She was
Dr.
very active before she got sick.
Yes,
Miss Goff was very active
yes, but
because
she's
we met monthly.
yes. And so, wait a minute. So, you and Miss Barbara Cross go back to the work that you did for Green Forest Missionary
Yeah.
Baptist Church. And then I knew her from there. And then I knew her, and now I know her from teaching. And she's doing very well and as a teacher. And in the school system and assisting me and helping when needed. So thank you so much. So that work with the civil rights, the Birmingham, Alabama connection. So then many years ago, we went to a program, a ceremony, and they acknowledged Dr. John Cross, but you received an honorary doctorate
Yeah.
for your missionary work. And that was beautiful. That was really nice. And I like to find that information among all your memoirs. And
You know, tell
we have to add that to our folder.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much for that. But, listen, I know we can go on and on and on. There's no way. This 60 minutes or 90 minutes, we know it's not long enough, but you have been so inspirational and you have been so great and inspiring to a lot of people, lot of children. Again, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the family. We know outside of my children, my grand, which are your grands and your great grandchildren, they were here celebrating with you this year, just any and every day. They just love to celebrate you. And we praise God. We thank God for you to see 92 years. Yes. And what a blessing, what a blessing. And we know you have nieces and nephews in a lot of various places all around the United States. And at this time, you are the oldest living in your family. We love that. I believe you have a niece that's researching, doing some ancestry information, pulling together our family tree. I love her for that. And never know, we don't know what's going to happen next, but I love all the progress we're making. I love how we're capturing this history because this is a beautiful thing. Okay, so listen, the name of my show is Strength in Education. And so a lot of people knowing me, being the educator that I am, and then had the audacity to become an author of my first children's book, The Teacher and Me. But when I look back over my life and when I think about you, what gave you the strength, Mama, the strength in education to move the way you move and to do what you did? Where did you get your strength from?
I got it from my dad and mom.
Yes.
That's all I can say. I got it from them because that's all they did.
Yes.
And my oldest son, which was your brother, decided that he wouldn't run no more with me. I was going too much.
Yes. So praise the Lord. So she's talking about that. So praise the Lord. So what, 2.5 years later, she had me. So then this little girl had to run, right? And that is okay because we love you. We thank you for that. And we do understand, and being that the name of this show is The Strength in Education, I'm always interested in strength in educators and people and moving forward and just continuing being what they can be. And so I thank you. I appreciate that because I had to just continue being what I needed to do. But I thank you for having the strength, and we know that you talk a lot about what you gained and learned from your parents, so we know that's where your strength came from. And we thank you for that, Mom. We appreciate you. Thanks for being able to talk with me today. And for any and everybody else, we're going to continue this conversation, having courageous conversations with all families, anyone that wants to participate and be a part of a program and a project like this. We thank you so much. Okay, so listen, what a show, what a show. So to add an extra bonus,
I'm getting ready to do my awesome giveaway. I will be out in the community in a little bit. I'm looking for parents, looking for fathers that are doing something extraordinary today. So stay tuned in. We're going to be giving you some other information that's all part of Strength in Education. I love seeing parents going the extra mile for their children. You heard my story. You know my life. You know how my mother was raised and what she instilled in me. And I want to go forward and carry on the same. So you never know when you will see Dr. Dukes out in the community with Evolve Films Production looking for parents that are doing something extra special. Thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate you, and stay tuned in, and we'll be back next time around. Again, Strength in Education with me, your host, Dr. Karen Dukes. Thank you.